I'm going to explain in this video the confusion around the issue of those that fail. So there's several confusions about this that relate to each other. There is what's called the Nephilim, which is originally it means in Hebrew those that fell, like fallen ones or those that fell. And there is the issue of people believe that there is the thing of like fallen angels, and there is also that belief of called the Lucifer, and that the devil is a fallen angel. So I'm gonna explain now what is true about this, and then go to how people got it wrong. Okay, so it all starts with Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. It says, it's talking about the time it is like in the beginning of humanity, kind of, you know. And then it says, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. So it's saying that there were some, presumably people. It sounds like it's talking about some people that were on the earth in those days. Those days are early in human history because it's in Genesis chapter 6. It's before like the story of Noah. And then, it says, uh, so first of all, let's go to this. Okay, who might he be talking about? Like, it says that they were in this those or also afterwards, but it sounds like they don't exist anymore, right? Because like no one knows about who is this. You know, this Nephilim is something that no one knows who it's talking about. It's and the meaning of the word, it's from the root nafal, which is has to do with falling. And it's in plural. Uh, the im in the end says it's plural, and then it's like it's talking about some people that are called the ones that fell that no one knows now who is talking about, but it says that they exist in the beginning of humanity, kind of around the beginning of humanity. So what I believe is talking about is you have Neanderthals, okay, Neanderthals, and there was some other kind of humans like this. There was Denisovans, and there was some other groups that we now know are that are less famous that also existed a bit. It was in several places. There was some ancient humans that went extinct, but we actually have a bit some DNA left in our DNA from them. Um, they were quite similar to us, but not exactly the same, and they went extinct. So this is basically what the Nephilim, when it's those that fell, is the humans that went extinct, that existed in the beginning of humanity, some other types of humans. Uh, and it says they were in those days and also afterwards, which is true. There was quite a lot of time that there was those humans in human history. They actually didn't go extinct so long ago as you would think. Uh, they were in more, actually more apparently like kind of about half the time that there was more humans kind of like that are really like us. There was also those kind of people. And then it says when the sons of God, now sons of God, I think it just means people. Like people maybe have find it hard to believe. I don't know, maybe they don't feel like they're sons of God or something. But God calls sons of God to humans, you know, because He created us and He created us in His likeness. So sons of God is just man. Men went to daughters of humans. Daughters of humans is woman. No, what would daughters of humans be? It's woman, and had children by them. In other words, they, had sex. So, and produced children by that. They reproduced till they're, talking about the beginning of humanity. So it's saying like they populated the earth. They were the heroes of all men of renown. That is also true. The people that survived during these times were like, they were like, they were surviving in time of history that being human was like survival contest kind of. There was barely humans in the world. And there was like some 100,000 people in the world or something like this in most of the time, and there was crazy hard conditions to survive in. Like most of this time was ice age actually, and a lot of crazy animals a lot of animals that were like they had to sleep in caves that sometimes had huge bears and all kind of outside there was all kind of other dangerous animals, freezing temperatures and they were, so there was like you know the, that's why they're called the heroes of old men. Oh, and without them we wouldn't exist. So it's like they were heroes of old men of renown. Like we would be here without them, surviving extreme conditions. So this is what God actually says. I would go to how people messed it up. So how people messed it up. First, it starts with the Book of Enoch, which is Book of Enoch is a false book that is from at some point in uh, hundreds of years before Christ. It's hard to know exactly when it was. Some false book, some guy document. Basically, this passage was had a lot of fuel for fantasy. Let's say, if you can, there was like prehistoric humans that don't exist anymore, that you can fantasize what they were like, heroes and men of renown and men that are called sons of God coming into women and having children and all. A lot of room for fantasy. So what happens is people made up a lot of fantasy based on that. First, there is the Book of Enoch, is the whole book that made quite a lot of invention with that there is like angels that they are I didn't read the book because it's nonsense, but it's like I know there is like angels there and they become fallen angels and there is those Nephilims which are like maybe they are the angels or something, and it involved this Nephilim and angels reproducing with a woman and like and there is like all kind of giants, all kind of weird stuff, false book. But the beliefs, both in that and in other fantasy literature, apparently ancient fantasy literature, and this got stuck in people's head to some extent. You can see that in some verse in the book of I don't remember which book, but when they're supposed to take the promised land and some scouts go to scout the land and he's saying about the people in the land that they are Nephilim, so they can't fight them because they're giants or something. That is of course nonsense because they later defeated them and there is no reason to think they were giants, but some scout got scared by seeing some scary people and then he said they were giants apparently. So apparently people pretty early on had all kind of fantastic ideas about this. Well, it should be mentioned that Neanderthals were a bit bigger than modern modern humans, at least when people are like thin. Good. Now people get it bigger because of other reasons, but in historical terms, the Neanderthals were a bit bigger. But it's like I don't think it's talking about. I think it's most probably maybe it was inspired, but I think it was mostly uh, probably just fantasy. And then later, in a later time, people start having based on all kind of wrong things that people made up. There was some of it is from Jewish stuff, and some of it is by Christians later with Christian non-biblical theology, and I think maybe of the Book of Revelation maybe has some stuff with some of this might have been coming from the Book of Revelation of uh, so people later made up this whole idea, and it at first with the Jews and then with the Christians, continue with it of that there is all kind of fallen angels and invent all kind of class of fallen angel and claim that the Bible says this and claim that it's they were that they at some point were produced with woman and there's some and there is all then there is that idea that the devil is a fallen angel called Lucifer. Now that really doesn't have any backing, but if you want to know where it's kind of trying to get backing in the Bible, it's in Isaiah 14. It's like there is that point that God called the king of Babylon, saying to him, "Oh, how you have fallen, O morning star." Because he's now dead and he wasn't used to be great and now he's dead. Now, morning star is an expression God used in several places, like he called angels that. It means that um, there is a star that is visible after all the stars are not visible anymore because it's brighter than all the others in the sky. I think it's the planet Venus. The planet Venus, I believe, is because anyway, so it's like visible. It's a metaphor to say someone is great because it's like he shines stronger uh, than anything else. So it's like he's saying the king of Babylon, he was like this, and now he's dead. He's in the ground, and maggots or something are eating his corpse. No. So that's what he actually says now. Someone for some reason decided this morning star, which in English or in Latin or something, Lucifer is something like shining one, or anyway, something that has to do with light, and it's some kind of mistranslation or something of morning star that made it try to make it sound like it's a name, and then people decided for no reason this talks about the devil, and then because there is some places that angels are called morning stars, and this means it's a fallen angel, or anyway, this is just that doesn't make any, there's nothing really things that God actually said that says anything about fallen angels, or that the devil is a fallen angel, or that describe the devil as an actual like living being, and there isn't giants and there isn't any of those stuff. What there is that it's explaining in terms people could understand in before the modern age, that there was some people that existed in the beginning of humanity that now don't exist for a lot of time in the beginning of humanity for tens of thousands of years, but since then went extinct. There is a god using the term morning star, talking about the king of Babylon, and, and that is relevant about other kings also, that they once they die they are nothing, and And there is some verses that talk about the devil, but it's in, if you look at what he actually says, reliable scripture and reliable translation, there is nothing it that doesn't say you can't interpret it about it, that it's more like talking about how evil works inside human minds, kind of making some metaphor of it, that if there is someone that is inside of everybody's minds trying to convince people to do wrong, uh, but it's really just like us, like humans, how things inside our minds that are like acting feelings and whatever that are like affect our thoughts and raise thoughts and temptations and whatever, and try to convince us to do wrong, and that it is being like compared to there is some evil thing that is like inside people's minds. Uh, but there's definitely not anything, even if you think there may be an idea, I'm not ruling it out that there is something beyond that, to the idea of the devil than just people's own desires trying to convince us to do something wrong. Uh, then it's not, definitely not a fallen angel. And then it's like, and there's some point that it's written that that in the like in judgment, in the final judgment, and the wicked would go to hell, which is go to a place where garbage was burned together with the devil and his angels. But angel is like how, I think the devil and his angels is like how the desire to do wrong plus the thing that help, that cause people to sin, kind of all of that would be wiped out, like people would naturally not feel like doing it, or almost won't feel like doing things that they could come, or at least decide to not want to feel anything wrong, to do desire to feel anything wrong. And also things that might cause people to sin kind of would not exist the in heaven, which is like God's the next life after this life that God is uh, has planned for people, that He would seize as His people, or that He would choose anyway, uh, that would live there. Uh, then there would be no, there would He would like, as there is in the Lord's Prayer, like remove from us the like temptation to cause sin and stuff like this. Like I suppose maybe people would not be attracted to people that someone is not his wife, for example. Maybe maybe people would not, if you are getting angry, people can like just decide to not be angry and then suddenly not be angry, things like that. Mm, maybe something automatically would make people like more aware that they're in danger of sinning, and then they would stop somehow or stuff like this. Uh, anyway, I think it's talking about that, but whatever your interpretation, it's definitely not talking about like giants or fallen angels or in the definitely not. Yeah, so not the Lucifer fallen angel guy going around being an active enemy of God, that is some living intelligent being that is kind of an anti-God that does whatever he wants against God, and for no reason God lets him do that. That makes some sense. It has to be that it's something that God allowed to exist, and like God would only allow to exist something that is there's some a reason why it's like it's not a good idea to, at least for now, to eliminate it, which makes a lot more sense that it's about the like that it's within each person's like eh, mind. But there is some thoughts that suggest wrong things to do and to say is what it's talking about. Because that can't be eliminated so easily, at least not at this point. Mm. Yeah, so that's I think all everything that had to do with fallen ones and the confusion was around this.